Hey guys, what's going on? I already knew you was going to the
I'm going
comments.
to the comments.
Going through the check-in.
Hey guys.
Hopefully everybody's having a great Friday evening.
Yes.
We're gonna have a lot of fun tonight.
Frank,
Oh wow, everybody's
AJ,
checking in.
Crypto.
That's what I'm
Crypto's in
talking
the
about.
house.
Crypto,
Yeah.
Frank, yes.
Yay.
AJ, where's Eli? Tell him I said what's up.
And all the whole family.
Yes. But I'm a huge Eli fan.
I know.
He's a big Will fan.
He is.
Tonight, guys, we got a really, really cool interview tonight. So I'm sure everyone's seen the promotions, everything we put out there, especially on Instagram. We've been getting amazing feedback on Instagram versus Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys tell us, kind of what y'all think about Facebook versus Instagram.
We'll continue with both.
Because obviously we continue with both, but when we first started out, Facebook was the thing.
Man, Facebook was king.
Yeah,
when we first started
it
really
reigned
drove traffic.
But now we get more, I guess, return on everything from Instagram.
Everybody listening, check out Volume. We did a little sound check, but we want to make sure it's good for you guys. Definitely hit that like button. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. And definitely appreciate you guys spending your Friday evening kind of just chatting it up with us. Basically just yes, that's right. That's what's up, Eli. But so just a little disclaimer out there, we're putting this out there. A lot of the things that we do, as far as a brand or as a company, we got to this point through experience and through trial and error. Want to put it out there. We don't know it all. We want to continue to educate ourselves. We want to continue to learn and hopefully put enough of these videos out here to better the community. Sorry. To better the community.
I'm sure that was probably an offense to the ear.
So in doing this, we've also learned a lot from some of our Patreon members that either in Discord or in some of these interviews or in even some private messages, some of the different things and practices that they utilize in their day-to-day keeping habits. And some of it we want to put out here on camera and hopefully get some FaceTime with some of these new and up and coming breeders, if I can talk. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to do as far as with Slab Side tonight.
So tonight, our guest appearance, our Patreon member, he's been a Patreon member for a little while now. Wonderful, awesome guy from Slab Side Geckos, and his name is Chuck. And I'm sure you guys have seen his awesome Instagram post and his logo and everything. So super awesome guy, very knowledgeable, has been on some podcasts. Yes. You'll notice as soon as he hits the screen that obviously he's got it together. He's very professional. So that was impressive from the beginning. Right. So you want to take it from there?
Definitely. So if you guys have any specific questions you want to ask us or him, it's all about him tonight. And we're going to make it all about him tonight. Definitely put them in the comments. We're going to be reading them, doing our multitask. But we're going to also put him on the spot tonight and ask him a few questions and bring some things to light with him. So without further ado, Slab Side Gecko.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just sitting here in a hot California desert right now.
Hey, what's the temps out there right now?
In the shade, about 109 today.
Oh my goodness, that's like melting.
It's nothing because it's a nice little breeze.
And nice little breeze, 109 in the shade.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And here I am in a hoodie, cold.
So are you North Cal or?
No, I'm Southern California.
Southern California. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I imagine with 109.
I didn't know. Does it get hotter Southern California or Northern? Does it matter?
Oh, Southern for sure. Northern, you get more, I would say coastal, cooler breezes, more humidity, like up where Harry is, up in the Bay. You're going to have a lot cooler temperatures. I mean, it's still going to get hot. It's California. You know, it's still going to get hot, but it's going to be a lot cooler up there than it is down here. We're close to, I mean, Mojave Desert, Mexico, San Diego, places like that where it's just super, super hot, super dry. It's not conducive at all if you have anything that needs humidity. So it's kind of a constant battle. But yeah, it gets really warm down here, but not as hot as Arizona or Texas.
Really?
It can have it unless you're in 29 Palms, California at Camp Wilson for the military, then it is unworldly, ungodly hot, and you think you're on a different planet.
Oh my God.
So there's areas that gets really hot, but
well, can we start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what all you do?
Sure. Well, obviously my name's Chuck. I'm currently in law enforcement, and I have been for a little bit over a decade. And I'm married. I have 4 kids, and one of them is a constant help to me inside of here. Other than that, been battling a few injuries the last couple years, going through some retirement stuff from medical stuff, and then other than that, just a hobbyist reptile keeper of geckos now, and that's about it. And other than that, just hanging out with family, and it's basically me in a nutshell. I used to be a pro athlete in CrossFit.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! That's
yeah,
awesome.
when that ended, it's just went back to just weightlifting and things like that, and focusing more on my career in law enforcement and school.
So what area of law enforcement are you in?
Local PD.
Uniform patrol.
Yeah, so I've been uniform patrol for 10 years up until when I got injured, and then I've been patrolling my living room.
Oh man,
we were both uniform patrol.
Yeah, we were both uniform patrol.
Yeah.
We SWAT,
and he did SWAT. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I'm sure all the other Leos think like you're crazy.
Oh man, yeah. The ones I still keep in contact with from my department and from my division, which is West Valley Division of Los Angeles Police Department. I worked there for, I'm still assigned there technically, but I worked there for a very long time. And a couple of the guys I keep in contact with there just think I'm absolutely nuts. But I know plenty of cops who have reptiles. They're just like, what, you're breeding them? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, here and there, Yeah.
It's funny because when I resigned, like people couldn't believe that I resigned to actually do this, to actually get out of law. They're like, really? That makes money? I'm like, yes, it does. It makes more money than I make here. So
wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well,
you're in Cali, but it's a different, house market, home market out there is crazy.
So I will tell you, just from my stance, he made more than me because he had been in it longer than me, and he had obviously different rankings and stuff.
Instructor, but all kinds of stuff. For
me, for a sheriff's deputy uniform patrol, my gross pay was $39,400 a year, under $40,000.
Yeah. Look at his eyes.
Look at his eyes. Yeah. So for me to sit here and risk my life
and 12-hour shifts,
12-hour shifts, night shifts, no, thank you.
I feel that. That's what I came on as in LAPD long ago, not that long ago, but when I came on, I was making like $30,000 a year, and I was like, what is going on? I asked friends and family, because they're on law enforcement, to come from a law enforcement family, and I was like, is this normal? And they're like, yeah. Why you're I got out, went on my probationary period, and I was like, it hasn't changed. What's going on? And I know how tough that can be living off that. And luckily I had some VA that helped me out. But yeah, I mean, cost of living is completely different. So I guess, it's different. But yeah, I mean, and where you guys are at in South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's beautiful out there. But yeah, for $39,000 a year, risking your life on 12-hour shifts plus night shift, which takes years off of your life.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I mean, and then having to get into critical incidents, you're just like, I'm not getting paid enough for this stuff.
Yeah. Quite a few. Yeah.
I've been in my fair share. Never had to discharge my weapon, thank goodness. But yeah, he did.
Yeah,
so
it's
been in a few. So it's just like, bye.
Thank God you never had to. Put it that way.
Yes.
It is not a gift.
I'm very thankful of that.
No, it's definitely a lot of boxes to check, a lot of people to talk to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Quite the adventure.
Yes.
Yeah. And therapy.
Oh my goodness.
Lots of it.
Wait, you know what? Really short off base story. They need to really kind of put some checks and balances in, even for the therapist. The very first incident I ever was in, the therapist they had me go to was like, mind you, no one died, but he was very pro-life. And when you sign up for this career, like, you care about human beings, but, you have a job to do and you're trying to protect. I'm not telling you anything. You understand.
Right. Yeah.
But he was like super, super pro-life. And he was like, yeah, just really, me and him had nothing to connect on. He was like a father of like 9 children. And he was talking to me, trying to get me back to the job. And he's like, yeah, no matter how, vile the crime is that happens to my family or my mom, I definitely believe that everyone's entitled to their life. And I'm like, oh, okay, we have nothing to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I can get behind it a little bit, for certain things, but
right,
certain things that are so egregious that you're like,
yeah.
It comes up time and a point where you're just like, I have to act. I can't sit here and chat with you any longer.
It comes down between like, people don't understand when you're faced with either your family being, taken, murdered, whatever, and somebody else who is trying to do that. Like, who are you going to pick? Are you going to pick your child, or are you going to pick this random person that's actually trying to hurt your child?
Yeah.
So it's like there's a disconnect there for some reason with people. They don't that doesn't click in their heads when they're talking about all that. But so leading away from law enforcement, because that's such a heavy topic. Yes. How did you get involved with geckos to begin with?
Okay, well, a long time ago, and when I was in high school, I actually had some geckos. I had a leopard gecko for a very long time until I went into the Marine Corps and I rehomed him. I think it was a him. I don't know. And maybe it was a girl. I don't know. I was so young into it that I didn't care to sex because I only had one. It was my pet. And he was like this really cool, like hyper orange type of thing with like these dots and stuff. And I'm like, this is really cool. And I don't really know leopard geckos. So I don't really know what he was or she. But I had that for a long time. I had a bunch of anoles that I thought were geckos when I was a young kid that I would win at fairs and I would keep them and stuff like that. And they were cool until they got out because they're really fast. And living in California in an arid climate, they would just perish because I couldn't find them. Then I'd find them like stuck one day, like petrified. But I had that. I had some red-eared slider turtles, a painted turtle. I think it was an Eastern painted turtle. I had that for a while. For a very long time, like 7 or 8 years. And then I had some frogs. I love tree frogs. They were really cool. The red-eyed tree frogs. I think it was red-eye. And I had a few of those. But I didn't really understand how to keep them. I was lied to by PetSmart and Petco. They didn't really tell me the proper ways to take care of them. I would get the little cards and try to follow it, and it wouldn't really work out.
Everybody gets the same story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I had I had a bearded dragon when I was a really small kid. Then my mom, she got rid of the thing because she didn't like it because it got too big, right? Not my fault, her fault, not mine. And then I got into the military. I didn't have anything else because obviously when I turned 18, my dad was like, hey, get out. You can either come with us and go to college and get a job, or you can get out of the house. Oh, wow. And I was like, going to the Marine Corps. So I left the Marine Corps and that started my life by myself alone. And I couldn't really have any animals. So I got rid of my one gecko that I had and my turtle and then enlisted, went there for 4 years. And then I finally had a house by the time I was getting ready to get out. And I had, yeah, absolutely. Never get gecko advice from Petco and PetSmart. Yeah. I had a bearded dragon that I got from a local breeder in North Carolina who I don't know if they ever listened, but they were really cool. They were trying to turn their house. She was a postal worker and she was trying to turn her house in North Carolina into like a zoo. And then she was going to get a facility and turn it into a zoo. I walked into this thing. She had her living room with snakes. And I'm talking about scary big ones. I'm afraid of snakes. I think they're cool. I think they're awesome. I love their colors.
Yes.
deathly afraid of snakes. Like deathly afraid of snakes. I had a guy when I was working patrol in Hollywood try to put a big like albino, I thought it was an anaconda. It was probably a big reticulated python, and he tried putting it in my cop car, and I freaked out, and I was like, no. Like I'm definitely afraid of them, but I think they're awesome. And I walked in and she had all these snakes and all these different reptiles, and I was like, oh my gosh. And she had thousands at her house. Probably thousands. I don't know. She had a lot. I think she even had an alligator in the back shed or something. I don't know. It's wild. And she walked me into this other room, which was her bearded dragons. Got a bearded dragon, picked it out. Ended up being het for her leatherback. It was some sort of hypo melanistic thing, and I was like, "This is really cool." It was got blue bars on its back. It was yellow and orange. It was awesome. I was like, "This is cool." I had that guy for a very long time, and that's when I started like. Was it King Snake forums and fauna classifieds? Fauna is what I really loved, and I used that for a really long time. And I promise this is going somewhere. I had to rehome him, so I was on fauna for a while, and I was buying and breeding dubia roaches, and I was trying to hybridize them with a different type of island type of cockroach because they got really big, and I would feed it to my bearded dragon. He loved them. And so I had him for a really long time until I couldn't have him any longer because I had to move into this tiny apartment, and they regulated that stuff, and they wouldn't allow me to have a big tank. So I didn't want to risk it because, you know, making no money in California, living off of VA, trying to go to college and trying to get into law enforcement. I was like, all right, I'm just going to rehome him. I ended up rehoming him and selling him on fauna to a breeder up in Northern California. And he produced, I kept in contact with him for a while. He produced some awesome leatherbacks and kept that male going in his breeding program for a while. And I was like, this is awesome. And so I always wanted to get another reptile. Ended up getting a sulcata tortoise and had him for years. Not going to get into much of that because it gets kind of weird, you know, divorce and stuff. But ended up having him for a really long time. I lost him to that. And then I was like, man, something's missing. I really would like some more lizards. And I married my current wife, and about 3.5 maybe 4 years ago, I was sitting there. I was injured off work, and I'd been injured for a while, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna get some geckos. And the funny thing was, when I had a bearded dragon, I always saw crested geckos, but I never knew what they were. I thought they were called harlequins. So I thought the trait and morph Harlequin was their name. So I was trying to search it, and I was like, this thing was so cool. It had like this weird crest, and it looked like a gargoyle. And I was like, that's what I want. And I talked to my wife about it. She was like, absolutely no. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, we're getting one. And I kind of started showing her all this stuff, and she was like, finally she caved, and she's like, okay, you can get one. I was like, well, I'm buying two. And so I've always kind of wanted to check a box off and be and breed a lizard. Right. And I wanted to do it with my kids to show them responsibility, to have to take care of something other than themselves, even though they have siblings and stuff that they help take care of. But I was like, this will be important for them. So I got one, and then I got another one. And I started doing my research before I did it. So I built some bioactive enclosures, let them establish for a couple months, like an aquarium you would do for like saltwater or like a nice freshwater tank, really do it nice. And so I did that. And I ended up getting two geckos. One was from Wicked Arboreals, which was a phantom, red phantom, a hypo red phantom. Yeah. So she was really cool over there. Got one from her. And then I got another one from Tenny's Crested Geckos from the Cherry Bomb lineage.
Right.
And it was an extreme harlequin, but it wasn't as bright as Cherry Bomb, but it carries the same genetics. So I was like, cool. I got it for like $700. I was like, this is crazy. Right. I just spent $700 on a lizard, and I spent $300 on another lizard.
It gets worse.
It does. And then, that kind of just spiraled out of control for a little bit. And then I met another breeder online, and he's from Teano. I want to say Teano Reptiles, Marco over there from Teano. And he was really cool. I talked to him. He kind of helped me out through a lot. He still does. I still lean on him for a lot of things, and ask for advice because he's been doing it for a lot longer than I have, obviously. And, I ended up getting a gecko from him, and then now I have a lot.
Exactly.
For me,
Now I have a
not on your level, but for me. So that's kind of how I've always kind of been into these animals, and reptiles and amphibians. So it kind of was just like a no-brainer for me to get a few. And then I started breeding once I like really researched everything and figured out how I was going to do it. I had a full season of breeding where I did a few pairs. Not a lot of them took. And I had one death of a star breeder of mine that I got that I don't know. I'm not going to name any names or name drop or anything like that, but I got him and he was awesome. He's the friendliest and biggest gecko with no tail I've ever had. He was awesome, but he got sick shortly after I received him. Took him to the vet immediately. Had pneumonia, and he didn't make it through the antibiotics. So that kind of like really derailed and demotivated me. And I was like, man, but I had one pairing from him that stuck, and none of them lived. They all died in the egg. I had a few leucistic looking ones, but I don't think they'd fully developed, and with the female that I paired him to. And then I had another one that I got I have a super soft scale that I still have. And I got her from Miami Art, and she came gravid from the season prior.
Oh, wow.
So I started popping out eggs from that. And I still have one of the offspring. I sold the other ones. And they're all soft scale. They're all pretty cool. But I had lost a couple in the incubation process because of how hot and cold it will get in the desert. So I was like, I can't do that. So I ended up buying a big incubator from Wilbanks.
Wilbanks,
yeah. We did that.
WH80.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's in a nutshell, kind of.
So how many do you have? What's the number?
Oh, yeah. Including babies or just like adult breeders?
Both. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good thing is I can count them, kind of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
it's dangerous when you lose count.
Yes, it is.
17, 18, 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 28 adults.
Okay.
I think there's like 2 or 3 juvies in there that are growing out, including a cappuccino.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 19 bins of babies, and I think most of them have 2 in there. So just shy of 40 babies, and then I have a few more eggs still incubating. But it's super weird because most of all my females that are breeding they're all virgin breeders, most of them.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while to get going.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, what's that?
We've had that. I mean, that has been a consistent thing. When you have a virgin breeder, first time breeder, it does take them a bit to get the mechanics of it all down, kind of
right.
Like
you get 1 egg, you get 2, you get 2 again, you get 1, then you get a bunch of duds, and you're like, what is going on? I think I've gotten more duds out of a couple of my females than I have got any fertile eggs, and I'm like, this is crazy. And then I'll get like 2 sets of duds, and then I'll get a fertile, and I'm like, this makes no sense. Yeah, so it's kind of frustrating, but I think everything happens for a reason, and to not get overwhelmed and everything. And I have 3 racks for babies, so I'm not like hurting for space or anything like that, but I'm like, okay, I'm okay with what's happening right now, because a couple of the ones that I wanted to keep going are still going.
Nice.
That I'm really excited about. So yeah, so I have 40 and I don't know whatever else I said, so I don't know, it's up there.
So what's your goals for it? What do you where do you want to go with it? Do you want to stay at hobby level? Do you want to go business, big business? What do you want to do with it?
I'm okay with staying at a small hobby business, to be quite honest. Because there's some other ventures that I want to do in my life to make money, and I know that that's going to take a lot of my time, and I don't want to give up on reptiles. So I think it's staying at that level, would really be beneficial, because then it allows me to free up and do other things.
Right.
So I'm okay staying there. But time will tell, the more comfortable you get at things, the more time progresses, the more you advance, and the more you see which avenue and path you want to go. And if I can do both, I'm going to do both, and I'm going to do both to its fullest potential. But right now, I'm kind of just like staying at a good moderate level for myself because I do it by myself. Unless my daughter's here and then she helps, which is a godsend. And so, I'm okay. Like staying at 100 animals with babies and everything, maybe 120 or 30 if they all hit, and I get a full amount of eggs and clutches and everything in a full blown season, I'd be okay with that. So having like 7 or 8 female breeders at a time, I'm good with.
Okay.
That sounds good.
I'd rather have quality over the quantity.
Oh, definitely.
We've gotten to the point now, like it's so exciting to see this coming season because, obviously when we started, we were, buying up different things. We handpicked a lot of stuff.
A lot.
But, and then we would pick up like a little bit of like wholesale here and there and try to like from Tiki's. We got some from Tiki's, which ended up, we like really just, those came phenomenal. Like their progression were phenomenal. And we just like legitimately kind of moved out what we didn't want, obviously, which everybody knows that's how you do it. And now like this season coming up, like legitimately everything that we're breeding together is grade A stuff. So it's exciting to kind of see, like, I think he counted the other day and we had like 600 eggs in the incubator.
Yeah. That was before.
Yeah, that was before.
Pulling, and then we pulled probably 60 eggs this week.
So it's like we're really excited to see this season is so pivotal for us. I feel like,
and they're just getting going. So
that's intense.
Yeah,
that's intense. That's a lot.
With the incubator that you got, the WH80, and you got a second one as a backup. And we're like, we need a new backup because you're using the backup now.
Wow, that's wild. Yeah, I got that because there wasn't anything smaller, and everything else I just saw horror stories on, and I'm like, I'm not taking the chance. Exactly. I don't want any more deaths in eggs because I cannot do it at room temperature because it'll either get because living in the desert, you can get down to the 60s sometimes in the summertime, and then you spike it like 80, 90 in a room. So I was like, can't do that. So I keep my house at 75 during the day and 72 or 71 at night. But then it could still drop in here past 71 degrees because I live in the desert. But most of the nights it's like 70 degrees outside, sometimes 80. So you're okay, but you're still incubating in those high fluctuations. I attribute that to a lot of in-egg deaths. And I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. So I was like, well, I'm going to get the WH80. It's going to be awesome. It's already like really well made and manufactured, and it's kind of tried and tested. So I got that, and it's pretty awesome. I mean, I only use two levels of it. And so,
did yours arrive, didn't it? Yeah. We got 2 that arrived, didn't it?
No, so I checked. Yeah, I checked, and I was like, no, nothing came down, but now it kind of wobbles.
Oh man!
But speaking on that, there is a flaw in it that I found, and I found out the hard way. And I shared it on my Instagram. I was opening the tray in there, and I pulled it out, right? But in the back, there's a notch. I pulled it out, and I opened the box that I have, and it fell. And I had so many eggs dump all over my floor.
Oh no!
And I was like, holy crap. And I went back and looked at photos and was able to kind of match up because each egg, if you really look at each egg, it's got distinctive characteristics. Very seldom is there like a perfect pearl one there. Most of them have striations on them or brown little dots,
Plus not having a ton, that helps.
That helps.
Exactly. I had to think it was around 20 or so that fell. And I think 10 hit the floor. And the other ones stayed in their correct spot. And I was like, oh my gosh. And a lot of the substrate, I think because it was so heavy, the Pangea hatch or the whatever, the super hatch, whatever, stayed in there and kept some of the eggs because I had them like kind of in there. And so that was great. And I was able to figure out which eggs came from where, except for 6 eggs that I kind of don't know, and 2 didn't make it. So I only have 4 eggs really that I'm like, I don't really know who they are. And I have question marks on them. And then it's like, it could be 3 sets of geckos. I'm like, I have no idea. So when I sell those,
nailed down the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, man, that stressed me out. I was so stressed out, and I figured it out, and I was able to go back and look at photos, and because I was taking photos of every time one would hatch, and I was like, okay, this goes here, this goes here, and it took me deductive reasoning to figure it out, but I was able to successfully figure it out. And when they started hatching, you have sets of geckos that you pair a red extreme harlequin to like a triple X, you're going to get certain characteristics that come out of that, right? So I was looking, and I was like, okay, these are all great, but I have a lot of red geckos, so I was like, shoot. But I'm confident that the ones that are there now are all correctly labeled with their mothers and fathers, and so that was man, that was a
you got to pull that tray all the way out until it hit that bumper, and then you're good. But if you pull it almost that little notch, you can pull that whole tray out.
I've done it 4 times where I've called it. I'm like, oh my God.
So I had mine pulled all the way out, but I think I bumped it back a little bit. And yeah, I was like, oh man, that has to. I think if you were to not have non-removable and they were just on like the things where you pull it like a dresser drawer, I think that'd be a lot better. It'd probably drive up the price a lot more. But so now I just take it out. I'm like, I'm not even messing around. I just put it on top, and
I'm just gonna take this
yeah, that's what I do now. I like pull it and I grab it and I just shove that.
I still play with fire. I still
play with fire.
So, I can't do that.
So obviously you do your research. You continue to do research, and if you're doing wheel banks, incubators, and things like that, and you named off triple X and some different genetic traits. Is there anything in particular that you research right now versus when you started?
Excuse me, can you say that one more time?
Is there anything like that you're really thinking of getting into, like as far as traits or anything that you research now
and traits
versus when you first started? Like you said, you were really interested in like the harlequin. Now that you're into it, knowing what it is and knowing the ins and outs of it, are you researching something else to get into?
I mean, I think I mean, there's a couple things I really would like to get into. Like some frappuccinos, I really think they're really cool. And I think the caps and the fraps and the super caps, they've got a lot of a bad rap, and I think it's because a lot of the poor head structure and things like that were bred into them, with the poor crest, small heads, things like that. And then when you get into the super form, it gives small nostrils. I think if you were to breed a cap to a super soft and take that and then breed that to another super, and you come up with super soft and soft scale caps, and then you breed that to another offspring of a cappuccino that is a super, and you have 2 super big head structure, big bodied cappuccinos, and breed them back, and you're to come up with a super, you'd probably get rid of a lot of the defects and issues. And that's just my hypothesis. I'm not a genealogist or a geneticist or anything like that, dealing with any of that. But I'm like, I really think, and I've heard like Robbie and stuff talk about it, I think that would fix a lot of the issues. So, I mean, I have a cappuccino. I have Mr. Petco cap, possible cap. I call him Mr. Petco because I got him from Petco when that whole thing was going on. But I just feel bad for him because he was like 80 plus degrees in there, 90 degrees. So I took him. I should have took the other one from there, but I only took one. I got him for like 40, 60 bucks or something like that. So, I mean, I would like to get into the frappuccinos that I do not have. I don't have any fraps. I have a cap that's coming up to weight from Nam Hung. I've got some head exanthics. I really would like to work with exanthics. I'm trying to pop out a exanthic this year. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, my first 2 eggs that hatch from the 100% het exanthic to the 100% het exanthic lily white that I have popped out 2 normals, 66% heads. I was like, gosh, come on. I couldn't just hit the genetic lottery on the first pop.
It's like 1 in 4, right?
Yeah, like 1 in 4.
So maybe one of your next.
The next one's only 1 egg.
Oh,
yeah. So we'll see. My luck, it's going to be a normal.
That's it.
Hopefully. I really wanted to explore the whole hypomelanistic gene because I really like hypos. I always have since Bearded Dragons. So I really would like to explore that. I mean, I think I have most of the stuff that I really like. Like I like red stuff. I like phantoms. I think they're tried and true.
You like the C2.
Hypo, stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the yellows. I like C2. I like some of the yellow stuff because I'm going to incorporate that into some other projects that I'm working on. After doing some research and talking to some big time breeders out there, I'm definitely going to be incorporating some yellows into my program. That I have a few. I even got that C2 from you guys, which is amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, the thing's awesome. I put it in its enclosure after it's quarantine. And I pulled it out and I was like, man, this thing is awesome. It just it fired up, and then seeing it fired. I like the geckos when they're hypo to be fired down, because they look so cool.
Right.
But yeah, I really want to expound and explore on my hypos. I have some blue tinted dark base geckos that are hypo from the dark base that are in the cold fusion lines that I really. So I have some cold fusions, and I bred some cold fusion lines from Gecko Logical from Tom at Gecko Logical. That he's an awesome dude. Talking to him, has so much knowledge, and I've kind of been bouncing stuff off of him. So I got some stuff from him, and I've got some cold fusion lines, and they're not all they don't all fire down blue. So I have an OG Pangea Black gecko that's from the Cold Fusion line, an SAF line from Tom, which is Tom's. I'm sure we've all heard of it. It's Tom's super soft. But in my opinion, it's softer than anything because I have a super and it's not anywhere compared to that. Thing is legit. Yeah, it's legit. So, I mean, I have some of that, and I'm exploring some different. I mean, I kind of have my hand in everything. I have some really dark stuff, but it has links to cold fusion, so it all has a theme. It all has the cold fusion into it, and then I have a lot of other hypos that I have, and stuff that I didn't know that was hypo when I bought it, like reds that are basically orange. They carry at least they carry some copies of the hypo gene in there. And so I have some of that, and I'm like, this is really cool. And I kind of strategically bred everything hypo to hypo, or this one that I have. I'm still waiting to breed him because he didn't take to his female. He's purple. When I say purple, he is purple.
Nice.
Dude's awesome. So, I mean, I have some of the stuff that I really want to get into, but I think like everyone else, I would love to mess with sables. I would love to. Chances of doing that probably slim. It's a lot of money to get into, so it probably isn't going to happen unless somehow I can create one, which is it can be done, I guess, but I don't know I don't know the formula to get it done.
Well, yeah, I mean, genetics. That's the thing about cresties at this current time in this point of crested geckos. It's really open. I mean, we're on the precipice of busting the genetics area wide open. When you kind of parallel the ball pythons to the cresteds, it's they are about 15 years.
Well, look at the last 40 years of the genes
that have started coming out. We've been isolating these breeders that have been really working with these genes. They are isolating this stuff and they're uncovering things that obviously have been there all along. It's just you have to get to it.
Right. And it took so long to figure out what a super was. There was breeders when I was listening to, the Pangea Foundation genetic stuff. And then, the Gecko pod. And then when Tiki had the Foundation genetics guys on with Tom and Anthony, I was like, man, this is blowing me away. And I kind of lost track of where I was going. Dang.
I do that.
Yeah, she does that all the time. But we watch those all the genetics videos, and we tell people all the time they'll always ask, "What do you think of this, that?" And we love it all. We love it all. It brings more stuff for discussion.
Exactly.
Even if you don't agree, if you agree with 98%, that's great. If you don't agree with 2%. You may have your own reasoning why,
right.
This brings up conversation.
We gather a lot of our thought processes and stuff about the genetics that we follow from the OGs, from the foundations, from different
from experience as well.
And then experience as well. Yeah, what we see working with them, on a daily basis.
Right. So where I was going before, I remembered they were talking about breeders who had been popping out these alien-looking crested geckos. So like, what is this? I don't even know. And they had handfuls of them, and no one really knew. And they were super caps the whole time, and no one knew.
Yeah.
So I guess in answer to your previous question, what I'd like to get into, I really would like a super cap. I mean, I know it's taboo, but I think they're really cool looking. And as long as it's healthy, I would love to have one as a pet because it looks like a little alien. And they're super inquisitive. I walked over to the, was it a Little Monsters booth at one of the reptile shows local to me. And I was like, wow, this thing is really cool. And I was talking to one of the people working the booth, and she's like, it's very inquisitive. Like, it'll follow you around. Like, I've never seen it with any other gecko. And I was like, let me try this out. And I was looking at it and moving, and it was following me. I was like, whoa, it's cool looking. And I would love to have one as a pet. And then Frappuccinos, I would love to have a super cap as a pet. Okay. Preface that as a pet. And then
we get it.
What was that one that came out? Man, I posted about it. I could look it up on my Instagram, but it was like that super hypo, like translucent.
Yeah, the true hypo.
Yeah,
that's what they're calling it.
It's a new gene. Love it. Like I said, we love all the new genes, but
I think it's cool.
The only issue I say is, like, some people, how do I put it? When you come up with some naming, when you get a chance to name your gene, take advantage of it, name it.
Absolutely.
But I would never move forward, like, say, all right, because we personally believe hypo. We're just finished talking about hypo's here already.
Right?
Hypo's here. Just because you don't agree or like what people refer to as hypo, you come out with a true gene. It's a gene, and you name this is true hypo. I mean,
right?
You're just creating a little bit more controversy that don't have to be there.
Yeah, I think sometimes that we complicate things as a whole group.
I like the gene.
I do too. I think it's really interesting. I think they put a lot of work and effort into that to get to that point. I
think it's cool as long as it's healthy.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Absolutely.
But there's so many people on Facebook and stuff like that, which is why I don't like Facebook. They constantly attack, and I'm like, oh man, this is so toxic, man. I can't get behind it. But they're looking at photos and saying, oh, it has no toe pads, it has no, this and that, it's not fully developed. I'm like
not there in person.
But you don't have it in your hand. You can only see so much from a photo, and a photo is only, it doesn't tell the whole story.
Well, where do you stop? Where do you stop? Because if they're all pets,
you never being progress.
But even then, none of these pets will survive in the wild.
No.
I mean, in theory,
no. They would get picked off. They'd be too bright.
Yeah, so
they wouldn't be able to camouflage.
So where would the true argument begin? Because if you're taking care of all their needs, I don't know. Like I said, it's got to be about the animal. Be about the animal and having fun, having stuff that you want to, projects you want to chase, and as long as you're not causing any harm.
And honestly, it all starts with experimentation and to get new traits and new genes, and then refining those.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's 100%. That's how
you have to refine it to make it healthy. And if it's not healthy, then you stop. But you have to give it that good effort to be like, okay, well, like I was talking about the super caps, breeding them into, breeding cappuccinos into super soft scale, and then getting a super soft scale cappuccino, and then breeding that to another super soft scale cappuccino. That way you have great heads, or even a soft scale, just as long as you have great head structure, a good body, and then you breed that into the both of them. And if it pops out a big nostriled super cap that's got everything there, it's just, dang near translucent black.
Oh yeah,
I don't see the problem with it. But there are going to be some back and forth. Well, you produced a bunch of like fatal, like maybe like, but that's why you start with the caps and you bring them in and you try to do it. If you have one bad pairing, okay, well, I'm just going to leave it at that, because none of those, I gave it my best effort. I tried to improve on structure on both sides, then breed them back to one another.
You're trying
to work out, so I don't do it anymore. That's kind of how I would look at it. Do it safely and do it responsibly. I think is
because other genes, you have fatal genes where you breed them together and it's fatal. Now that's a moral, that's an ethics
and
issue.
It's good to actually, it's great to find that out on accident so that you can put that information out there and say, look, this is what we found with these specific traits.
100%.
Like blanket statement, don't do this because this is what it causes. I mean, it causes death. So, and then you're to just not try anything just purely off of the basis of, oh, well, this might not be good, or this might, I mean, you can't do that. Otherwise, nothing progresses. If that was the case, nothing in this world would have progressed.
Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of like my stance on it. Just do it responsibly and do it ethically, and make sure you don't, you're not doing anything. We all want to profit, but you're not doing things for profit. You're doing things because you like the species and you want to see it evolve, and you want to see if you can take it farther and stack traits and see what happens.
Yep.
So let's switch gears a little bit, kind of go towards your business specifically. How did you come up with your business branding and your logo? And, what do you do as far as marketing and such?
So my first logo was my a 69 Lincoln Continental suicide door lowered. So I had that, and I had it for a little bit, and some things happened. I had to sell it, but before I sold it, I curated the logo, and I was like, like the whole lowrider scene. I was like, this is really cool. I want to put a Gecko in it, driving, and the artist, I mean, didn't really work out the way I wanted it to, but he put it like on top, and I was like, it's cool. I see my car, it's awesome. And in the community of like lowered Lincoln Continentals suicide doors, or just regular Lincoln Continentals, slammed down to the slab, they would be slab sides, in groups of Lincoln Continentals, like slab side this, slab side that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take my car that I really like, and I'm going to take the Geckos, which I really like. I'm going to put them together. So that came the name Slab Side Gecko. And then I sold my car.
Then he sold the car.
A while later, because I couldn't get into it anymore. I was hurting my back and my knees to get in from my injury. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to drive it. I can't, it's too low to the ground. It's uncomfortable. It hurts. I just sold it. So
that's what I think.
That's how I got the name.
My car daily. I have a 370, a Nissan 370Z. And legitimately, like every time I get up out of it, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like crawling out of it.
She can walk right up. She's like 4'8".
Yeah. You should see him trying to get in that thing. It's like a Matchbox car next to him.
Oh, I bet. But I mean, it was, man, that thing, I would stand up to it and it would come up, the top of the car would come up to my chest.
Oh, wow.
Gosh.
And I'm only 5'8". I'm not that tall.
You had it legitimately.
It was low.
Yes.
But I mean, and it wasn't on bags or anything like that or hydraulics. It was just a lowered head springs that were just a little bit more compressed than the other standard stock stuff. And so it had been altered a little bit aftermarket. So it was a little bit lower to the ground. And I was like, I just can't get behind it. I can't drive it. It's not fun anymore. So I ended up getting rid of it. And that kind of birthed the name. And then I changed the logo because my artist had drawn some stuff up, and I was like, ooh, I want that artwork. So I asked him if he could alter it because I didn't like the way he did it. And it was a classic movie that I really liked. Like Little Mouth of Horrors, Little Shop of Horrors. So I was like, ooh, Little Shop of Horrors. And I was like, I think that's the name. But I created that logo. I took that style logo and created it into my own. And that's what birthed my new logo, and which I really like. And then I have a few other different logos. I have 3 logos. I like to. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have our, obviously our
we got
logo.
logos we haven't even released yet.
Yeah. We have our our pretty drawn one, like the Xanthic and the lily white, and then the diamonds. That's our logo that really stands out. But then we also have these logos, the FCG,
the font,
font logo.
Then the flawless diamond.
Yeah, the flawless diamond. That's diamond. So it's like, you kind of, I mean, you develop and you evolve, but then you use those. You could still use those logos in different settings in different ways. So
exactly,
marketing and promoting certain things need a certain look for it. So,
but it's good to have like components of that brand, that main brand, because you want to legitimately, if somebody sees anything that is involved with your business, they know automatically, okay, this is Slab Side. I know this without a doubt. So with that being said, how do you incorporate your business into everything that you go to do? Do you event shows? Do you are you just primarily on the internet? Like, how do you incorporate
or what's
that?
your plans to?
Yeah, or what's your plan?
I don't do any shows. I've been to a couple shows as a spectator and to purchase things, but I haven't vended any shows. I probably could at this point. I probably could. And I haven't really thought about it because that's more inventory that I need to buy, like
Right.
not animals, but like you have to buy like tables and you have to buy deli cup holders so that people don't steal your stuff. And then you have to pay for the booth. And I'm like, that's cool. I might do it down the road. Right now, I don't see myself doing it unless I hooked up with someone that already had a booth and I brought some of my stuff. So primarily it's all online. I do have a website that I'm trying to refurbish. It's pretty cool. There's some typos on it because I'm not an English major.
She is like the typo catcher.
I am the grammar Nazi. Like,
if you saw my website, you'd be like,
that's typo. It distracts me, and I'm already ADHD anyway. So anytime he puts a reel, and I'm like, like you've left it up there like too long for me to take it down and redo it. So it's like, there it is.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you just got to stick to it and just market it as the typo things. I mean, I've seen companies do it and they kind of like lean into it where they're like, hey, this is free stuff. It has typos all over it. Here you go. We're just going to throw it in there for free. And it's kind of funny. But yeah, I have a website. I haven't sold anything off of it because I decided to not list anything during the summertime just because it's too hot. Even though here it had been in the 80s for quite some time up until the last few days. So I could have been shipping out, but then if I sell anything to Texas, you can't ship there because it's too hot. So I was like, I don't want to deal with it. Even though if I put a cryo pack in there, I don't want to deal with it. It's too stressful for me. I'm just going to wait until it cools down and then throw a cryo pack in there that's nice and cold at like 60 something degrees and ship it out. But I do primarily 100% sold on Morph Market. So I use that. And then I would like to do both on my website. So I plan on throwing some stuff on my website soon once I can have my wife go through it and correct all the typos. But it looks cool. It does look cool, I think. It's got both my logos. I think all three of my logos are on it. And I feel like it's pretty user friendly, but I don't quite understand how to use like link to banks and stuff like that to it. And, I still use PayPal. I know because not everybody has available disposable income to just throw at some geckos, which some of the geckos that I have that for sale that are going to be for sale are $2,000, $3,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because the traits, and I can't. So like I said, I have a bunch of like cold fusion stuff. I can't sit there and sell a cold fusion or a cold fusion trait for $1,000 or $500 because you have the godfather of cold fusion, and I can't undercut him because that would be disrespectful to him, right? So I have some stuff that people are gonna. Not many people have $3,000 just laying around or $10,000 laying around, to buy an Xanthic. So you have to use the PayPal, and I'm still sketched out on using it, but friends and family is the way I'd like to go, so they can't pull it. But Venmo, that's still kind of sketchy. Wire transfers are the best, I think, but not many people. I try to go through it. But
Venmo is owned by PayPal.
It is, yes, it is 100%, yeah. But I feel like if you use the friends and family one, I don't know if they can get it.
Can.
It
does, but it's not
as bad as like.
I don't want to tell or put out there. Don't be scared. Be wary of everything. Vet everything.
Right.
But I mean that's a big price to pay. To play. But
yeah.
You just gotta constantly build your brand, build your name, and just try to work in your own lane. When it comes to PayPal, it's one of them things where we do not like PayPal at all.
No, we're not fans.
They suck.
Long stands against it. But
they put your money.
Yeah, a couple years back it was better. It honestly was. Anytime you can, they charge you for not doing a transaction, that is something illegal needs to be done about that.
That's messed
up.
Because
they get paid on a percentage. So even if you sell a $10,000 gecko, and you have a repeat customer that's just purchased this gecko from you, and they hit you up to say, "Look, I spent $20,000 with you over the years. Just had this import come in or a crazy purchase that came up. I need to get it. Is there any way I can postpone this?" You're like, absolutely. So, you
Uh-huh.
you cancel, you send the money back to them, and they go do what they need to do. They get every dime back. You now
You don't.
gotta pay
Mhm.
3.5% of $10,000 to PayPal on a deal you never made.
Never made.
Just to turn
Right.
around when they come back to you and they purchase
Pay
again, you gotta pay it again.
3.5%.
So that's what the changes they did relatively recently in the past couple of years.
I can understand like a lot of businesses will have like a restocking fee.
Right.
You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? And I can understand like a fee of say, a cap up to $50 depending on the amount of money, that you're moving. But to have that percentage when you didn't even make a sale, that makes no sense to me. Because we can write off like $50 for unfortunately for having to move money like that. But to move to have to pay that much on that kind of transaction, that's just not right.
No, it sucks. Yeah. And that's why I kind of like my website's all done through Square. And I'm going to be using Squarespace linked to my bank account so that whoever pays me, it uses like bank stuff. And it's not linked to a PayPal or anything. It's not going to be linked to a PayPal. It's going to be linked to one of my banks. And so I hope that will alleviate some of the headaches and stuff like that come from PayPal. But I don't know if they can still pay with PayPal. I don't know. Like, I haven't used it. I really don't have any experience with Square.
Square,
Square
does they just adapted to doing the same
they have
thing.
the same policy.
But you should be better off. But they just adapted their policy almost to mirror
to that.
PayPal, because everybody was jumping ship to now go to Square, and now Square is doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Apple Pay is another
you
thing.
Say one of my favorites. One of my favorites is Zelle. I love Zelle.
But that's the wire transfer. Zelle is awesome.
Yeah,
only problem with Zelle is high dollar purchases. They cap you.
Yeah,
that you have to have that money in your bank.
Yeah, you have to move it at different times.
But even if you had the money in your bank, especially with a new transaction, some of it is capped where you can't send over $2,000 or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
that's been one of the things that we found, because like we have a lot of different bank accounts set up for different reasons, and so it's like a chain of channels that we usually do, because we have this business account that we specifically use for just the transfer and then immediately move it out. So it's like you need to be able to utilize this stuff to move money when you want to move it and how you want to move it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really frustrating.
And I've had that happen with me with Zelle. I purchased a gecko from Houston Geckos.
Oh yeah.
I got a head xanthic male from her over there, and I used Zelle, but I had to be like, hey, like, I'm gonna pay you, but it's not allowing me to pay the full amount. Can I come back tomorrow and pay it? Yeah, sure. After like the 12 or 24-hour period came back again. Then another one, I was like, I still owe you money. Can I do it again tomorrow? And I'm like, man, this sounds super sketchy.
Yeah.
It does, but it's like, hey, this is really happening.
If you've dealt with it a couple of times, like when somebody comes to you and says, hey, this is what's going on, you're like, yeah, I know, don't worry about it. It's kind of like once you experience it a couple of times, it's not bad. Yeah. So moving on with our questions here, we kind of already touched on what morphs you currently work with and what you were interested in, but you said that, what was it about the crested gecko that exactly caught your eye that you really, really, really liked?
Oh man, when I first saw it, I heard Harlequin. The only thing I knew of Harlequin was those poor children who are born with the Harlequin disease who like lose their skin, and I was like, why would someone name it after? Why is there? And I was like, man, I was super confused. But
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, they have like they're like really waxy skin. It's just it cracks and it just peels. And I'm like, oh man.
Oh wow.
But what drew me to was the kind of the name. I was like, that's odd. And so I started looking into it, and I really liked the fact that they had these they look like a gargoyle. They had crazy big crest and big head. And I was like, that's really cool looking. And it was a lot smaller than they were today, because this was back in 2012 when I first saw 10. I think when I first saw a crested gecko, and it was like completely weird looking. I was like, man, that thing's kind of cool. I like the eyes. I like the head. I like the body. It's a gecko. I really like geckos. And I was like, man, so that's kind of what drew me to him. And then when I started researching again, I was looking at crested geckos and gargoyle geckos, and I'm like, definitely not the gargoyle, because that's not what I saw. I was like, it's definitely this one. And it says crested gecko. And then I saw the name Harlequin, and it clicked, and I was like, that's it. And so I started looking at all that, and I saw the crazy colors, and I was like, wow. Almost like a chameleon, right?
It's really like an artist's palette. Like
Yeah.
you can pretty much do whatever you want. I think that's my favorite thing about them.
Yeah. And I saw that, and then I saw Patient Zero, then I saw Frazzle, and I was like,
Oh
Yeah.
that'll definitely get you.
It's
hooked.
like the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what does your day-to-day care look like? How do you go about your day-to-day care?
What everything's automated for me. I'm sure you saw the lights go off. So I have lights that are automated for like 10 or 12 tanks. So that's all automated, and I have a Mist King mist system set up on those. That comes on, and I've kind of had to play with it. It's not like a one setting and you're done. You have to constantly monitor it, fill up the reservoir and all that stuff. So, I come in and check all the day-to-day waters, but I feed twice a week, and then I do bugs once a week. I've kind of adopted that tactic from you guys, and it really works, and I don't waste as much food, and they grow really well. I keep them pretty warm. They grow fast. My babies, I think in 1 month I hit, I think a baby came out at 1.5 grams, and at 1 month it was already like 3.5.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get them on bugs really, really early on. Second week, I started incorporating, like I put 2 or 3 pinheads in there of crickets, and they don't necessarily touch them. And then they'll either get out and escape, or the crickets, not the geckos. But then they just start eating them by week 3 or 4, but they're constantly in there. I'm constantly offering them. So I'm in here at least minimum 3 days a week, but I'm in here every day. I come in, I turn a light on because I don't have lights for my bins. I have the container store bins. They do not have lights on them, so I have to turn the overhead light on. Then I have a fan that circulates air inside. And then I have to constantly come in every day and fill up the reservoir for the humidifier that comes on, and it's automated. And then I have the heater in here when it's cold, and it's all done through Govee through an app. I have thermostats and hygrometers that are the portable ones and bins, and I'll do the babies. I'll put it in there, and then I'll do the juvies, the grow outs in there, and then I'll put the adult bins. I'll put that stuff in there. I'm not really worried about the bioactive. They've been going for years now. They're very well established. The only thing I really got to do is throw some leaf litter in there and the isopods and springtails, clean up everything. We scrape the glass, I guess. I have my biggest thing is I do paper substrate on my bins, and I've been wanting to switch because it's really time consuming. Day to day is just basically pretty easy. You come in, you give them water, you check the water, you make sure the food isn't spilled. If the food is spilled, you take that out and you put new food in. Because I always have a reserve because I make it for the week. Because it's good for 7 days refrigerated. I have a small refrigerator in here. So I check that and make sure. And if they dump their whole food bowl, which some of them do, and they're really dirty, it upsets me because I feed them the next day. I'm like, come on, man, it's everywhere. So I have to take the paper towels out and redo them. But generally, if I don't, I just check and make sure on feeding days that their hides are all moist. That way, if they lay an egg in there, it's not being laid in some dry substrate. Right. But day to day is pretty simple. It's just checking, come in for a few minutes, check everything, pick up a gecko, check on some babies, check the progression, and then you're in and out in probably like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. Do that. And then on the feeding days and stuff like that, it's a little bit more time consuming because I'm changing out substrate if it gets too nasty, or if they spill their food. Because I had one where, because I have a humidifier in here, and these bins, the container store bins, they hold humidity really well. If you have a wet substance that goes in there and you're not spraying and misting and you're giving food and water in a bowl, it'll still mold if they dump all that. So I have to take that out and clean it. And I think I clean once a month. I take everything out. I put them in the containers. Every 4 to 6 weeks, I will pull everything out. And then I have, what's that blue stuff? Chlorhexidine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I spray everything down with chlorhexidine because I do not want any of my animals to get sick. I do not want any nasty parasites or any nasty stuff to grow in there. And I just don't want any of my animals to die. I had one die on me early on, and I do not want to ever experience that ever again. So I'm pretty neurotic when it comes to making sure I deep clean my tubs. with the chlorhexidine and wipe off all of the poop, the food. I let it sit. I spray them all down, pull them all out, spray them all down. I come back and wipe, and I make sure that there's no chlorhexidine left, even though it is safe when it's diluted in its form. I don't like to leave it in there. So I make sure it's all dry. All the food's gone. No, there's no poop, no urate in there. I get all that out. And so that's about every month. If it's not super dirty, I'll let it go for maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then I pull it all out. That's like maximum. Pull it all out, spray it all down, clean it. And that only takes like an hour and a half to do all of that. It's pretty simple.
Right.
For me, because I have enough. I have enough. I have the ones I want.
Oh.
I have 6, 7 breeding pairs. That's it. I don't want to get past that. I mean, maybe 10. That'd be cool. But I think for me by myself, 6 to 7 is enough for me. Can pop out anywhere from 40 to 60 or something babies like that. 80 babies if they all hit.
80.
Yeah. So right now I'm sitting around 40. But yeah, I mean it's fine for me. And then so it's pretty simple.
Not bad.
Not hard.
So last couple of questions for you, and then we'll get going because we don't want to hold you all night.
Yeah.
But do you have any plans on starting a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've just been so busy with everything. It's just, man, and I have a decent camera that does video.
You have an awesome You have an awesome setup right now, and your delivery is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I would like to, because I would like to show that what I've things that I've done, things that I've learned early on, and show like what I do on a budget. I think that we could really help people do that. And then kind of like I've seen so many people, and I'm a really big proponent on mental health. There's a lot of people who get into this hobby who struggle with certain things, who use animals as a conduit to make them feel better and to give them more peace of mind and to help them with their daily struggles and battles. Right. So I'm a big proponent on mental health. Obviously, law enforcement, every single law enforcement officer I know struggles with mental health. Every single firefighter I know struggles with mental health. So I'm a big advocate in that. I've even dedicated part of my life to helping those in struggle and need as a counselor. So I would like to do some of that stuff and bring in some of that mental health stuff inside of the YouTube channel that's Gecko related, because I know that I've seen so many people on Instagram, in Facebook and YouTube that have struggled in the Gecko community with mental health or in the reptile community with mental health. And so I think the things that I've learned to help cope or to help mitigate certain things, I would like to bring into a YouTube channel to help not only do the Gecko stuff, and to show like what I do on a daily basis, or things that I found that help me, or things that I tried this, but it's not the greatest, but it can help you in a pinch, baller on a budget type of thing. And then bring in some of that mental health. I would love to do that on a YouTube channel and do that. But I don't really understand how to do a lot of the cutting and editing and stuff like that. I've just been starting to get into it. So I have been telling my daughter, because she was always wanted to start a YouTube channel when she was a little kid. She's in high school now. So I could, try to help her do it and with me. And I think that'd be really cool to start a YouTube channel.
You have a lot of potential for that, for sure. Check out, if you're wondering about the editing process, I'm kind of starting to do little, I guess, series sort of on some apps, some phone apps that can help you with editing purposes. Actually, I dropped a video. We dropped a video the other day. The Pixel Cut says Pixel Cut. Okay. My big face on the thumbnail, and it's different color than what you usually see, like the black backgrounds. So check that out on our YouTube channel. That is a really, really easy app to get started with.
And then we're doing one on DaVinci.
Yeah, we're going to do one on DaVinci Resolve, which is our main video editing software that we utilize for all of our videos. User friendly. So, for the most part. There are a lot of things inside DaVinci that is like even lost on us right now. But there are so many tutorials on YouTube. You can literally sit and watch tutorials about every little nook and cranny of that program for free for days.
Oh, literally. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna we're
Put out a
doing
couple videos on it.
we're doing some of that, like a series with that, because it seems like people really enjoyed being able to learn some of that, and we've actually had requests for us to do editing videos.
Oh.
So we'll see how that goes. So,
Yeah, I mean, I would benefit from it for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a foreign language to me. I just started using CapCut on my phone for some other extracurricular stuff, and that has been pretty easy to learn. It kind of was a little confusing at the beginning, but I was able to figure it out with no notes or anything like that, and compress files and things like that on my phone. But I have not tried it whatsoever on my laptop, which I know would be a lot easier, because the phone, trying to edit stuff on your phone, it's just a pain.
I'm like, oh my God, don't do it.
I do a ton of phone editing.
I'm doing it on my Mac.
Yeah.
That's typically if I'm editing like a reel or anything like that, he will go in DaVinci, do his reels, and then load them into like Instagram or whatever.
Airdrop it right to the phone.
I don't do that. I am literally using Pixel Cut. I'm using VN Editor. I'm using there's InShot on iPad. There's just so many different apps. I use Canva a lot. Like there are just so many apps, and I can literally use it right from my iPhone or my iPad, and it's just so super easy. So like different strokes for different folks, I guess. But we are going to do some of those tutorials and reviews.
Oh, that'd be great.
So where can we find you? What are all your business platforms? Your website? Go ahead and list it all out. Tell our folks where you can find you.
So basically what I use is just Instagram. I don't like Facebook. I have a Facebook for my personal stuff. I don't like it. I don't post on it. I use it basically to keep up with friends from the military, law enforcement, and family. So that's all I use Facebook for. So I do not have a Facebook. My Instagram, let me pull it up so I don't give the wrong info. My Instagram is slabside, one word, _gecko. It's pretty simple. Slabside gecko. It's got the cool little gecko in a pot, little mouth of horrors. And so I have that. I have my website, which I want to believe is slabsidegecko.com.
Okay. All right.
But you can go to it. I made it active. You can definitely go to it and check it out. There is nothing for sale up there. I do want to get into some stuff. I do need to get an LLC so that I can start using some cool stuff that my buddy told me about, where you can, I forgot what the name of it is. Basically, you can create a store and use other people to make your stuff, and it ships straight from their warehouses.
Yeah, it's like FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, drop shipping style.
There you go, drop shipping. So I would like to do some of that. So I have that, slabsidegecko.com, and then I have my Morph Market page. There's nothing up there right now, just based on the weather. And if it loads, my seller profile right here is, darn it. See, I'm technically challenged. It's slabside_gecko, just like my Instagram. And I believe if you go to my Instagram, there's a link in my bio for Morph Market. So I will be listing around 30 or so geckos for sale, maybe 35, maybe 40 for sale coming up when it gets a little cooler. So I'll be listing some of those. Got a good amount of soft scale. I have some SAF gene stuff in there, but I don't know if any of them have popped SAF. Maybe one, but I probably will not sell that one because that will be mine.
That will be all.
I'll have some het xanthics up that, 66% het. And I'll have some other stuff, some phantom reds that come from cherry bomb lineage, which are really cool and they're really bright. And mine haven't even started popping with color yet.
Nice.
So from what I've gathered with geckos is if they're red off the bat, they fade faster. If they are darker off of the bat and like more of like that grayish tone, and then they, when they hit juvenile and they start bringing in the color, they'll stay red for longer, is what I've heard. So I have some of those that will be ready to go soon. I'm going to try to get some good fired up shots of them. But man, trying to get these geckos to fire when they're not having it is tough.
Yeah, yep. I know.
So there's a few that I love fire down, and those are the ones that will fire up. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Or they'll misfire, which misfires are cool. But
yes.
It's kind of hard to market,
Yeah, very hard to market.
So that's where you can find me, is Instagram and my website. If you email me on my website, there is a link on the website. If you have questions, you can email me. I can give out my email. It's slabsidegecko@protonmail.com. You can email me questions there. You can DM me if you have questions for an upcoming release, or if you want to put your name on a list for anything that I have. I can show you. I can send you pics straight from the bins from the babies. And I will be letting go of some breeders. I think this year that just aren't going to fit into my plans, because I'm going to be incorporating some. You're constantly evolving in this hobby, right? Because if you're not evolving, you're not learning, you're not growing.
Yeah.
So there's a few geckos that I'm like, okay, that's not going to quite fit in as much as I would want it to. It's not. And I'm going to be breeding to different geckos that I know will bring in some better color or better lightness of colors, I guess. Some dark bases with some lighter. It is what it is. I can't give away too much because it's kind of under wraps for right now. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I look forward to selling a lot of geckos this year, and and then pairing up next year, because I have some females that'll be ready to rock and roll. I have one pairing that I'm really excited about. And I can actually get her out and show you guys, to show everyone else. But this thing looks like a Frappuccino. It looks like a Frappuccino. I got it from Gecko. It's a Gecko Harmony production, but I got it from, I forgot the name. It doesn't matter. But I got it from this dude who knows the gentleman at Gecko Harmony, and I got this in a trade, and it's
Frank's
so
like,
killer.
Show us.
Frank's
Show
like, show us.
us.
I'll grab her. She's pretty docile.
If our camera goes out, we're still here. We're just switching batteries.
Oh, no.
It popped.
Uh-oh. Oh, I lost my picture. There we go. So, I don't know if you can see her.
There we go.
She's so hard to see the head. Maybe I can get my... Oh, man. It's getting late, so they're awake.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I posted it. Oh, man, maybe I can get it. It's so hard to see her. Man.
Lighting is always lighting.
So difficult. I can post a photo on my Instagram if you want to see.
Yeah, post on Instagram. We'll definitely share it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too bright. She's blown out. But hold on, let me try one more thing, because put her up on my shirt real quick.
He said, I need that purple.
Darren's trying to see your purple gecko.
Oh, he's mean.
Oh, is he?
He's mean. And if he's awake, I have him up on my Instagram. If you want to see, I can put him in the top. Like,
there it goes.
Yeah,
you can see that.
Yeah.
The side.
Yeah.
There we go, right there.
It's so nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's a lily. She's awesome. She's probably around, I don't know, 40 grams right now.
She's like, where's the food?
If you can see the top of her head stamp, like, look at that right there. That fringing, almost that sable-esque type of thing. Or, oh, don't bite me, please. It's so hard to show, but she's awesome. She's one of my favorites. She's really cool. Man, I reached out because I was like, what if it is a frap, right? What if I have a frap that no one knows, and Gecko Harmony has some fraps under his stuff? So I was like, well, let me contact Oint Reptiles in Korea. And so I talked to him, and he's like, her eyes look resemblance of a Frappuccino. He's like, I don't think it's a Frappuccino because of her underbelly or whatever. But
oh, okay.
Yeah.
If I can get a better...
I see it.
And her eyes.
Oh, I do see the fringing now that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And her eyes have these weird red. It's like a gray eye with these red lines through them. And he's like, that looks like a frap eye for sure. But he's like, I don't think it's a frap. And she's a soft scale lily white. And I'm going to breed that too. I thought about breeding it to Mr. Petco and seeing if he would pop out any frappuccinos, because they say the only way to truly tell is if you pop out supers. But then you hear other breeders that go, no, if you can pop out fraps because they're so distinctive, you have a cap. I don't want to do that because I would like to start off with her because of just how nice she is. Right. I would like to start off with a proven cap from Proven Lines. And so I got a cap from Namhung in Korea. And he's orange. And based upon the lineage of this girl, they carry this really bright orange. She shows none of it. She is gray with like this browned head stuff. And she shows none of the orange. Which I'm like, oh, if your parents are like really, really orange, you should show some of it, right? None of it. She shows none. She's gray. Fired up. She's gray. So I don't know if she has like,
gray.
Yeah, I don't know if she's like has some sort of hypo in her or what have you. But I'm gonna breed to my cap who's orange.
Yeah, you're gonna find out.
So you're gonna
find out. So that's my most exciting pair. She's like, every time I hold one of these things, there you go. Every time I hold one of these things, they are so awesome. And it just makes me really fall in love with geckos all over again. Even there's times, and I'm sure everyone's felt it, that they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is tiring. It's time consuming. And then you grab one of these little guys or girls out of their enclosure and you hold it and you're like, no, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
really nice that fire.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does every time. So sometimes I like to come in here and just, grab a few out, and the babies are cool, but they're super jumpy. But this girl, once you pull her out, I mean, it's 7:30, almost close to 7:30. She should be wild. Now she's just kind of chilling. And she does have a little bit of this red hue underneath her head. I mean,
right.
And honestly, I would love to pull out that guy who's
purple.
He said he'll grimace you. Have you seen that? The grimace shake from McDonald's? The TikToks about that?
No, I didn't.
So grimace is the big purple whatever from McDonald's. And there's this TikTok trend that they went around with where when somebody would get the grimace shake, they would drink the grimace shake. And like they would say, oh, well, it's not bad. It's good. And then like it flashes forward and they're dead in some kind of crazy fashion. So grimace is coming after you. So he's apparently like a goblin or something, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a TikTok trend. You have to look it up. Grimace, the grimace shake, the TikTok trend. And so you got to name your purple gecko Grimace.
Oh, I mean, I could change the name to Grimace. That'd be cool. I didn't even put two and two together. I think his name's Moon Cheese.
Moon Cheese.
Because I'm like, you look like a Martian, man. When he fires up, he is legit purple. And I was afraid to post the photo because there was, during that time, it was around the time when I posted him, there was this whole thing going on. That's okay. It comes on. There was that whole thing going on with one gentleman on Instagram and some other female. They were going back and forth. One was saying, you're editing your photos. They're like, I'm just taking photos inside of my room. I'm not editing anything. It's just on the phone. They're like, you're using artificial lighting. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, you can't expect everybody to go outside and use natural light. 90%, or I'm not going to come up with statistics because I don't know it. I'm just going to be making it up. So me making it up, 90% of people do not go outside and photograph their geckos in the grass. Why? Because they're afraid of them getting away, because these little buggers can get fast. And if you use them under a log in a hole, you're done. Down a drain, you're done. And some of these geckos are $2,000-$3,000. Why would you want to take them outside? I mean, I mean, I don't feel comfortable doing it. I would love to, because I think you can't get any better than the natural lighting, and it shows off your gecko so well. I mean, I have soft boxes in here that work really well, but sometimes they blow out the white. Sometimes they blow out the lilies, and you're just like, this is as good as I can get. So I posted this one and just the ambient lighting in the room in front of his enclosure, because he is crazy. And I snapped a photo on my phone in my hand and posted it from there. And I was like, I'm kind of afraid because I don't want to get any hate, right, from editing my photos, because I definitely don't edit any of my photos.
Right.
I take it on a DSLR, I think, camera, or my phone. A lot of them are on my phone from my Instagram, because babies, I don't want to pull out the camera and set up the set just to take some photos when they hatch, you know, because I don't want to stress them out. So I just take a quick photo on my phone, and they're unimpressive anyways when they hatch. But this guy, he is awesome, and he is legit. The way I took the photo, that's the way he looks in person.
Well,
so I just got lucky on my phone.
Check that out.
Yeah, we need
check
to
it out on
that
Instagram.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely, if I can get some photos, I'll post an old photo I have him in that shows off the purple hues super well. I just pin it, and I'll pin her. Actually, in fact, I think she's already pinned.
Yeah, we'll absolutely share it.
Yeah, and you know, he's awesome. And he comes from, if you want to know where I got him from, he comes from Insomnia Geckos. Okay, and they have some cool stuff. A lot of their stuff, their lineage comes from Pangea, so that's tried and true right there. I mean, some of the Pangea stuff is awesome. And yeah. Oh, and another thing I'm really excited for is I don't have any XXX stuff. Okay. Right. I have an Extreme Harlequin that I got from Cape Coral Crusties, which originally I was able to trace it back to what's the gentleman's name over in, I think, Boston. It's tattooed out Cryptiles.
Oh, I was just about to say, yeah, Cryptiles. Yep.
Yeah. So over there,
awesome.
He came from him, and it went to, like, I think Firehouse. No, it was either Firehouse or Fireside, and then left from there, went to Cape Coral. Yeah, and then Cape Coral, I bought him from her. I was able to trace him back, and I was able to see photos when he was like a lot smaller. This dude is massive, and I think he looks like the hairy line from AC Reptiles. To be quite honest, he's like 65, 70 grams. The dude is massive. Wow. And he's got a tail. His head is massive, like a $50 size head. And some of the stuff that he's been producing looks XXX.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm hoping I can come up with like a XXX line from him. I mean, I'm not going to name anything. I'm doing XXX, whatever.
Right.
Or, you know, I'll probably list it as Extreme Harlequin because I really don't know, but it looks XXX to me because the lateral patterning goes all the way up to the dorsal, and there's breaks in the dorsal, and it comes all the way down. Oh, and it looks, and it's not a tiger. It looks really cool. And so I'm like, man, that one's good. And he's popped it out a couple times.
Oh,
yeah. So there's definitely that gene in there.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on.
Yep. Just hang out for a second.
Yeah, just hang out.
We'll be right back there with you.
Sounds good.
And we appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the live tonight. That was a very informative.
It was.
And fun.
You know who he reminds me of? It clicked into my head on the snake side of things. Blue line geckos. Blue line? Is it not geckos? Blue line. You know who I'm talking about? The police officer, the NYPD police officer guy.
Oh yeah, Blue Line Morris, I believe.
Blue Line Morris, yeah. He's fun. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's got a wealth of information that he wants to tell, and it's awesome.
Like, and his delivery is just on point. It keeps you engaged and locked
all
in.
the time.
So everybody definitely go and give him a follow.
Yeah,
Slab
Side Gecko.
Oh man, go over to Instagram. He gave out his handle. Check out all his geckos because we're going to be sharing them this week as well. We're going to go up there and check out some. Definitely the one he has from Geckological.
Yeah.
We've been thinking about that line as well for quite some time.
The cold fusion.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into that as well.
Travis, Blue Line Morris.
Yeah, Blue Line Morris.
Thank you, Crypto Cresties. We appreciate that.
Yes, we appreciate you guys watching, spending your evening and listening to us, gab. We're having quite a bit of fun doing these lives. Next one's going to be up in, not next week, but 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
So we'll do an announcement actually on Instagram and Facebook, let you guys know who we're going to be bringing on. Also, for all you Patreon members, we have a huge announcement.
Big
video dropping tomorrow for you Patreon.
Yes.
Patreon exclusive. And then we have another video coming up again, adding perks to a lot of these things.
We're really excited about this one.
And you know what? He mentioned, Slab Side mentioned the Miss King. we've been meaning to give away a Miss King. We have a Miss King that's just been sitting here that we're actually gonna give away a brand new Miss King. Yep. So we got to do the announcement on that as well.
Goodies.
Yeah, all the little nozzles and everything, never used, never opened. So we definitely gotta get on the ball. We've been just taking pictures and feeding geckos.
And cleaning.
And cleaning a ton. So thank you guys for spending your Friday evening with us. Definitely hit that thumbs up button and hit that notification bell for when we drop our videos. Yes. And we'll take time right now at the end and thank our sponsor as well, Redline Shipping. Use the code Flawless5.
$5 off of a shipping label. So
yes, you can utilize, I believe it's twice on their website.
It's twice, I think.
So definitely go out there if you're sending any of our leafy friends out. Yes. Even though it's hot right now, so check your temps.
Yes. Make sure you put a crowd back in.
At least one. Yeah. But we're gonna be checking out, guys. Thank you guys so much. And we really enjoyed your viewing tonight. But we're out.